Hi, welcome. This is going to be a reading for the next couple days, the weekend. But also, I thought I'd mention that for me, I think that most of the cards and things that we talk about usually predict a day or two to maybe a week out, depending. But if you were to just come across this at another time, I think that messages kind of come through, see what stands out to you at that moment, at that point. And messages I think come through in that way. So you will get this when you're meant to get this. And so anyways, though, but for the most part, this is for the weekend. And I'm going to try to keep this under an hour. I am thinking of restructuring how I do this, going by the houses that all kind of represent different things, areas of life. And instead of signs, trying that out. But for this reading, I thought I'd just do a basic sort of energetic reading and see what energy is important for the weekend to know about or take note of. General energies for the weekend. Always use your own logic, discernment, judgment when making decisions, and general energies. This is the North Node. I was kind of wanting to come out to Venus on the bottom. North Node, the Sun, and the Moon, and Venus. I don't know. It's a lot of cards. So, anyways, you can think of this as like the who, what, and where of energy that may be present in your life or playing a larger role in your day, your weekend, and whether or not you want to tap into that energy is up to you. Focus more on it, utilize more of those types of characteristics, or not, if you have that tendency already and you're trying to, I think hopefully you get what I mean. So anyways, the planets are more like the who, and the signs being the what, the context, and the houses being where, what area of life are these perhaps more present or showing up more often. Energy or situations, experiences of those characteristics. So for general energies for the weekend, what is important for the Sun, the Moon, the North Node, who, what, and where, what sign, and Scorpio. Cancer's on the bottom, so 2 water signs. Go with Scorpio. And in what area of life are these energies showing up? The 5th house and the 3rd house. The 1st house as well. So more action doing advice and more spiritual, emotional advice. So just do this first. Purification to resurrect your ideas. To think about as mental spiritual advice is success from the secrets of short-term thinking and trips. And to think about doing, I guess, or benefit, like physical, spiritual benefit resulting from the power of who and what is around you. So maybe feeling pretty powerful and short distance trips, maybe short-term solutions that maybe lead to longer-term solutions. Resurrecting an idea, having some success from finding something out. The North Node says that action, doing, advice is have faith in the extraordinary power of prayer by making the right connections. I also think of the Two of Pentacles as making like the right connections. Like you're trying to figure out how do two things go together, and it's like about making the right connections. The next one is, do not worry about the highest and lowest aspects of the idea in question. So finding that middle ground somehow. Now is the time to control the situation and get your ideas going. So taking control. It's taking initiative, really following up, really, I feel like what is the saying? Kettle, the pot that's, squeaky tire gets the most grease kind of thing. So maybe being attentive and, I was going to read the other ones too. Sun and the moon, I'll try to read these together. Demonstrate. This is the action, doing, advice. Demonstrate or defend the extraordinary power of prayer by making the right connections. I don't know if all of these are helpful, but the other ones are realize and accept your highest and lowest aspects of the idea in question and act like a leader. Let your feelings tell you how to control the situation and get your ideas going. And the intuitive advice is the nurturing and the creation of purification to resurrect your ideas, feelings caused by or the gaining of respect for or from the secrets of short-term thinking and trips, and the reactions, things brought to light or life, resulting from the power, what and who's around you. The other options were Cancer and the third house and the first house. So Cancer being about your feelings, attitudes from the past about things we just mentioned over here, and using your intuition to protect attitudes from the past, resulting from the history of, I think there's just too many cards going on right now, but basically Cancer, first house, third house, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Venus. I feel like it's like coming from love, like whatever is going on over here with these planets, like should have their foundation in love. Venus, cherish, enjoy, charm, art, and beauty, pleasure from good times, the attraction of attracting things, attracting in maybe whatever it is that you need in order to do what it is you want to do. Maybe like, the attraction, enjoyment, making something enjoyable, making something, projecting that sort of, making something desirable, I think of too. In order for something to be desirable, I feel like there needs to be a certain level of interest that is unique and is cultivated and draws in things to it, maybe. Anyways, the North Node, Sun, the Moon, so maybe your midpoint is in Cancer, or Scorpio, maybe the third house, fifth house, or perhaps the first house, but maybe understanding what those different areas of your chart mean, and how they all aspect each other. And there's a lot of videos that would explain the North Node more so, but between Cancer and Scorpio, I just feel like a lot of emotions and maybe suspicion, when I feel like when people detect some sort of level of emotion, like if you have your rising sign in a water sign, Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer, or just have a lot of that sort of watery energy, emotional, intuitive, somewhat mysterious, maybe, energy characteristics to your persona, you, I think, can attract a lot of suspicion in a way, because water can be, a little bit murky, or, like I said, mysterious, or, just what's beneath the surface. There may seem like there's more of a facade or more beneath the surface, and maybe in a bad way or a good way, than there really is, and vice versa. And that's interesting to look at in elections and kinds of things like that. Like I think I said in another video, like looking at presidential birth charts and how and why maybe some people were elected and not, and why there are different suspicions and things like that were brought to light during the campaigns and stuff like that. Or yeah, so and just how those different rising sign personalities perhaps come across, that are kind of like, I think, of the filter, and I think can give off different impressions to people, and depending on like the current state of things, that may or may not be attractive to people. And that's, I feel like, how you would like look at, I'm not sure how we got in some sort of presidential election, but yeah, just if there's some interest. And yeah, what people might go with in order to feel safe, or like they're being led. Looking back, even I think I was watching I kind of split up my time as far as TV shows go between totally fantastical, like, or supernatural type, like Ancient Aliens, and like actual documentaries, and like Discovery Channel documentary style more so, and things like that. But I was watching this one, Ancient Aliens, on emperors and kings and pharaohs and stuff like that, and they were just talking about how people wanted to be led by someone who has that sort of charisma, I guess, or maybe I'll find the episode and put it below if you're interested. Anyways, Venus, charm, art, beauty, somewhat finances too, sometimes jealousy, and Scorpio, watery energy, and why that could come off as compassionate or nurturing, especially like Cancer, but also perhaps overly emotional, overly not, maybe sometimes people don't trust more feminine points of views and things like that, as backwards as that is, but just sort of, yeah. Anyways, so moving on maybe to the sun and moon midpoints, yeah, to also be more of like an authentic expression of, be interesting for you to look into, since all the planets do have midpoints between them and overlap, for a second, basically, probably to create like little bursts of energy, maybe, or pages from books, and yeah. So for the weekend, maybe I'll even do a globe spin. Justice. This is, I did try to edit my last video. It's not that videos themselves are hard to edit, but like the YouTube editor, because you can't expand the so if your video is at all long, to like get down to like a second, or just to edit out a word or something like that, it's just like takes so much time. And so yeah, I edited out the meaning of what I was talking about when this card came out, and I said that yes, it can mean law, legal system, judicial system, Justice Department, but it can also mean like your other half, too. Also like going and getting marriage certificate kind of thing. And 11 again is a gateway, so this is like sitting in front of a gateway. Maybe sitting in front. Maybe some answers are in these books. Maybe I'll turn to page 11 and see what's on those pages. I've never done that actually here, but I did do that with page 117. I came across someone telling you to like flip to the nearest books, page 117, and read the second sentence and let that be your answer. Break apart wooden structures and things like that. From Isis Unveiled, like some ancient techniques that are probably in those ancient alien videos as well, which is what it's reminded me of. Otherwise, this is just about finding balance, or Libra, and partnership. Anything that involves someone else, usually I think of as well. Signing contracts, just anything that involves some sort of like, just want to say boundaries or border, like crossing, like this can sometimes mean like drawing a line in the sword of truth, drawing a line in the sand. It's about finding some sort of balance, whether it's within yourself or with others, or maybe, like I said, signing contracts, like reading the fine print, maybe too. It's just side advice, sidebar, or something. She has like a weird like fold in her dress. It's weird. It's like the sort of truth, or just some sort of threshold, crossing a line, maybe too, or not. Maybe saying what you want to say, like Libra being an air sign. These are just general things to keep in mind. Like if any of them speak to you, any of them bring up a, whatever it is that you're wondering about, or a situation for you, that's maybe an indication to follow further with that, thought, or not, to think really about it. On the bottom was the Lovers. That's really weird, and that's because that's what I was talking about in the video as the overlap between the Lovers and the Justice card, and that's what I edited out, was the Justice. And anyways, so someone's other half, maybe Lovers, Justice, split or together. Sun and the Moon here. Better. So, the Sun and the Moon out of balance, universal balance, maybe. Balance restored. Looks like some kind of rainbow thing over their heads too. These are like some 60s, like, I don't know. They're like in some sort of, I think of like The Sound of Music, like Swiss Alps sort of, maybe a Sound of Music. But this is 6 and 11, so 17. And the Lovers often means Gemini, so that came up before, 11 and 12, Gemini, and well, sometimes I think of 12 as Hangman as 12. Anyways, this is 6, and it's like you balance each other out. Maybe you find balance in some sort of partnership. Maybe just talking within your partnership. This can, Libra, Gemini, talking within your relationship, or talking to another. It doesn't have to be a love relationship. this can definitely just mean someone else, and also some sort of separation, perhaps. Oftentimes they're separate. So keep that in mind. Yeah, 17, which is Aquarius. I usually associate that with. But really it can be anything. Let's do these cards. I always forget to sit up again. Okay, so Justice and the Lovers. This could be signing some sort of court document or legal document with another person, or a contract, or maybe even just at work or something like that. Signing up to something. I also think of justice as something in line, waiting in line. Drawing a line again, drawing a line in the sand. Creating some sort of boundary. Protection too, maybe. The Lovers just popped out here too. And again, Gemini, so oh, maybe I should use the Lovers Tarot deck. But yeah, so two, you can even see the difference between these two different tarot decks. Their depictions of it, if that's of interest to anyone. But yeah, there's some more so speaking to alchemy and the alchemical coming together of two opposites. Just almost lost my voice there. Maybe there's something with speaking and speech, or being able to speak what's on your mind. Or I do know that the moon is in Sagittarius tonight. It's funny, since 2 6s came out like this, maybe it's like this, and it would make 18, and I think the moon is a waxing gibbous at 18 days or something in Sagittarius. So for me, that would be switched with my sun sign. So that's interesting, to see how things could be switched. Maybe that just paying attention to the shifts and transits and transfers of energy, around the astrological wheel in different areas of your life, so that you are able to better maybe tap into those different shifts, those different transits, understanding why it might be easier for you to talk about a certain thing or subject on certain days, or maybe something like that, based on lunar cycles, maybe. On the bottom was a Hierophant. So this can also mean government, some sort of organization, anything having to do with even your work, your work environment. I just think of some sort of company or community, also more on a neighborhood scale, just anything that brings people together for some sort of educational learning union of, it's can also mean marriage, since oftentimes it is the high priest, it's getting married by someone, but it can also just mean church and going to church, or yeah, again, reading maybe books, literature. 5, or Wands is on the bottom. Prince of Wands together. So the Lovers and Hierophant, that makes 11 too. 11, 17. It's have the same colors going on, and same here's, kind of go nicely together. I like those colors from the Lovers card here a lot, like the purpley pink and reminds me of like a jellyfish or something. You just kind of want to like, oh, it reminds me of these like cookies that were at this Chinese restaurant that I was at tonight. Or not Chinese, Spanish. I don't know why I said Chinese. Like a tamale place. But it had like all those little pastry things that you can get at the end. So some of the colors remind me of those sweet pastries. We will get to the books. I don't even know if I should do these cards, but I feel like I've gotten some responses that are, very like, these are entertaining. So keep some sort of element of entertainment in here with a love, romantic, advice for partnerships, maybe. Or if you're single, too, or just wondering about a crush or something for the weekend. This is the Knave of Water and the World. So this is like trudging through the water, like I feel like he found her or something. Maybe somewhere like a river. Knave of Water. So I usually think, knaves being messengers, any sort of form of emotional type message, or information, or it could also be a sign, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces again. Maybe it's checking. I don't know. I'd think of an email more so like air or swords, but I don't know. It just came to mind that maybe if you're receiving some sort of message, getting a message, or sending one out, or just reminding, check your messages. Maybe I don't know. But which is something that I never check my email or anything like that, so I hope no one's written to me. This is the World, so maybe a message from the world, message for the world, 21, Saturn and water, so some sort of, think of like structure and water, some sort of like basin, something to keep like water in line, contained. 21 being a 3, so or some sort of finished completion. Water sign, water, I feel like beginning of creation or something like that. Water being an initial flood of emotion that gets things moving or going or something like that. And so sort of like beginning that leads here. And also maybe just Cancer again being associated with like the first the water signs I think of, and it goes mutable, nights and whatever. So the cardinal water sign being Cancer. So again, just the first of the 3. And Saturn, discipline, maybe. Think of Chaps, and I think I put that song, Christina Aguilera's like Dirty, like that is that visual reference for this card, in case you're wondering. But yeah, so this is like the globe, going around the globe. There's a lot of ass shots and like a lot of that's been coming up a lot lately. Maybe just feeling maybe taken aback. There you go. Feeling taken aback by something or surprised by something. Maybe not expecting something really, or like maybe your initial inspiration or your initial thought, process, like your initial thought process, or just really what you envisioned was a lot less. Maybe you didn't think it all the way through, or yeah, but really, or maybe it's driving you forward. This is like someone thinks the world of you, maybe as well, or dreams about you. Sometimes this is like getting the full picture. Maybe yeah, that's what it's like, receiving the full picture. Moving the world forward, moving progress forward, moving emotions forward, so that progress moves forward, so that people feel and are able to choose, and move in better directions, or just spinning the globe. Maybe that's what it's saying, spin the globe. Maybe I'll spin the globe. I haven't done this in a while. Ooh. And look at this, we are at 34:12. I'm closing my eyes so I don't look. Maybe these areas will be important to you. Inspiring. So, that's Algeria, Libya, on the border of Libya and Algeria, or on the, by Morocco, on the border of Algeria and Morocco. It's really kind of just landed like that. So, it's Gat, or to Taoudani, or Morocco, or somewhere over there. Maybe, I've always wanted to go to Morocco. That would be, like, is that Saint Laurent that had his house there? Or am I making that up? Libya. Algeria, I just think of, like, some sort of out of Africa, yeah, or somewhere over here in Africa, or North Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. I forget about these cards because I put them over here, so we all put them over here. Venus, Sun, Moon, North Node. Books to use to work with tonight. I found some really great, this is like an old, like almost perfect condition from like 19, maybe the year's important. This is the Portable Swift. Viking portable library. Essays, poems, letters, journals, and the complete Gulliver's Travels. Yeah. 1956 or 1948. That was the year my dad was born. Which makes me think of Roswell, which was in 1947. What if that was, what if just a drop of alien powder that just went out and okay, so, and then I was going to just find a passage and read from that, and then 1,000 recordings to hear before you die, and Isis Unveiled. So let's start with Swift, or fun entertainment to think about. I was going to pull from page 11 or something. Maybe I'll do that for a different one. Anyways, let's see, what was I going to do? I want to start like at a beginning of a sentence. Okay. That he laughed at their folly and went himself in the boat, ordering his men to take a strong cable along with them. That the weather being calm, he rowed around me several times, observed my windows and the wire lattices and defended them. That he discovered 2 staples upon one side, which was of all boards, without any passage for light, and then commanded his men to row up to that side, and fastening a cable to one of the stables, ordered them to tow my chest, as he called it, towards the ship. That it was there that he gave directions to fasten another cable to the ring fixed in the cover, and to raise up my chest with pulleys, stand up straight. Which all the sailors were not able to do above 2 or 3 foot. So they saw my stick and handkerchief thrust out of the hole and concluded that some unhappy man must be shut up in the cavity. I asked if the air about... I asked whether he or the crew had seen any prodigious birds in the air about the time he first discovered me, to which he answered that discoursing this matter with the sailors while I was asleep, one of them said he had to observe 3 eagles flying towards the north. Oh, the north node. But remarked nothing of their being larger than the usual size, which I suppose must be imputed into the great height they were at, and he could not guess the reason of my question. I then added the captain how far he reckoned we might be from land. He said, by the best computation he could make, we were at least 100 leagues. I assured him that he must be mistaken by almost half, for I had not left the country from whence I came above 2 hours before I dropped into the sea. Whereupon he began again to think about my brain was disturbed, of which he gave me a hint and advised me to go to bed in the cabin he had provided. I guess I'll just finish this little paragraph. I assured him that I was well refreshed, and his good entertainment and company, and as much in my senses as ever I was in my life. He then grew serious and desired to ask me freely whether I were not in trouble in mind by the consciousness of some enormous crime for which I was punished at the command of some prince by exposing me in the chest as great criminals in other countries have been forced to sea into lanky vessels without provisions. For although he should be sorry to have taken so ill a man into his ship, that he would be engaged his words, he set me safe upon the shore the first port where we arrived, he added that his suspicions, I think I mentioned that earlier, were much increased by some very absurd speeches I had delivered at first to the sailors, and afterwards to himself in relation to my closet or chest, as well as by my odd looks and behavior while I was at supper. I begged his patience to hear me tell my story, which I faithfully did from the last time I left England to the moment he first discovered me, and as truth always forces its way into rational minds, so this honest worthy gentleman, he had some tincture of learning and very good sense, but immediately convinced of my candor and veracity. But further to confirm, my cabinet should be brought, of which I had the key in my pocket, for he had already informed me how the seaman disposed of my closet. I opened it in his presence and showed him the small collection of rarities I made in the country from whence I had been so strangely delivered. There was the comb I had contrived out of the stumps of the king's beard, and another of the same materials, but fixed into a parting of Her Majesty's thumbnail, which served for the back. There was a collection of needles and pins, from 1.5 yards long, 4 waspy stings, like joiner's tacks when combining of the queen's hair, a gold ring which one day she made me a present of in her most obliging manner, taking it from her little finger, and this is too weird. Taking a gold ring from her little finger. Gold ring. One day she made me present in her most obliging manner, taking it from her little finger and throwing it over my head like a collar. I described the captain would please to accept this ring in return of his civilities, which he absolutely refused. I showed him a corn that I cut off with my own hand from a maid of honor's toe. It was about the biggest of the Kentish pippin, and grown so hard that when I returned to England I got it hollowed into a cup and set into silver. Lastly, I desired him to see the breeches I had then on, which were made of mouse skin. So, the captain was very well satisfied with this plain relation I had given him, and said he hoped when we returned to England I would oblige the world by putting it in a paper and making it public. My answer was that I thought we were already overstocked with books of travels, that nothing could now pass which was not extraordinary, wherein I doubted some authors less consulted truth in their own vanity or interest, or the diversion of ignorant readers, that my story could contain little besides common events, without those ornamental descriptions of strange plants, trees, birds, and other animals, or the barbarous customs and idolatry of savage people with which most writers abound. However, I thanked him for his good opinion and promised to take the matter into my thoughts. So, she just love the way that old books smell. They just smell so good. That's funny. This became like this. It's like indented. My wife and family received me with great surprise and joy, because they concluded me certainly dead. But I must freely confess, the sight of them filled me only with hatred, disgust, contempt, and the more by reflecting on near alliance I had for them. For although since my unfortunate exile from the Houyhnhnm country, Houyhnhnm country, I compelled myself to tolerate the sight of Yahoos and to converse with Don Pedro de Mendez, yet my memory and imagination were perpetually filled with the virtues and ideas of those exalted Hiems. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And when I began to consider that by copulating with one of the Yahoo species I become a parent of more, it struck me with the utmost shame, confusion, and horror. I didn't mean to go on another tangent, the word joy stood out to me. This necklace, I'm pretty sure it means joy. It was my grandmother's, and I think got it in China. I did mention China earlier. So, anyways. Oh, I was going to see what they said on page 11. Maybe I'll do it for all 3 books. The Whig ministers swiftly had formerly looked to were falling out of power. The Tory Henry St. John, later Viscount Bolingbroke, had become Secretary of State. The Tory Robert Harley, later Earl of Oxford, had become First Minister as Chancellor of the Exchequer. Exeter. Every Whig in great office swift exultantly wrote to Stella on September 9th, "Will to a man be infallibly put out, and we shall have such a winter as has not been seen in England." So, let's find a song for the weekend, maybe a couple songs for the weekend. The Viking of 6th Avenue. Yeah. The Viking Portable Library. The Viking of 6th Avenue by Moondog. This is also by someone named Moon. By Moondog. An introduction to a true original. It's on page 518. That is too weird, having considered the, we just talked about, Sagittarius or Moon Sun opposites and midpoints and how it might bring out different sides of your personality. Not like a werewolf, really, but just maybe tracking lunar phases and how different, I don't know, just how the moon transits and transfers into different signs and what those signs and where they are in your life, maybe that having some sort of more emotional pull or push, that kind of thing. This is the first decent anthology devoted to the zany multi-instrumentalist Lewis Hardin, who called himself Moondog and was happiest performing his symphonies in strange fusions of jazz, classical, and Native American. That's so funny. Key tracks: Lament, Bird's Lament. If you're new here and you haven't been following around along for a while, some of this might not make sense, but there are different little storylines and things that sort of tend to weave into all of these different videos that I do and all the different signs, and even within my own life and within the things that I put below, the links that I put below for your further clarity and visual descriptions or entertainment, signs, symbols, or just words, lyrics, keywords, that would again help you perhaps go choose which direction to go in, things that stand out to you, that mean something to you, giving you a little nudge in a direction perhaps, just kind of paying attention to whatever speaks to you. And that could be very much what this is, whatever, speaks to you. For me, there are a lot of keywords that I've kind of sort of cultivated over the last few years, just seem to, maybe not even always intentionally either, have woven themselves into all these different, everything kind of sort of turns into this art narrative of storytelling for me somehow, even if I try not to. So there is my own little storyline going on here, but I do want these to be general readings for people. So just to try to make sure, again, there's no confusion or something, how it could be, maybe, I don't know, but just certain words like moon, the moon, and or different ideas, concepts, things that have sort of worked their way into every sort of art project or thing that I've done over the past few years, and it's just weird. The Ballad of Baby Doe, Bandwagon, Jason Moran. It's 49 pages, let's do another one. Exodus. Natty Dread, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Movement of Jaw People. I said that right. Dancing in the Street, Bedlam and Goliath, Mars Volta, Transmission from the Other Side, in Screamo-Vision. Wow, these are perfect names for this reading. Screamo-Vision, Transmissions from the Other Side. I can very easily entertain myself, like, left to my own devices. Yeah. Let's do one. System of a Down, Metal Chopped and Chiseled, Toxicity. It's like the Hollywood. Chop Suey, Prison Song, Jet Pilot, Key Tracks. Next up, Tool, the Mars Volta. I took a picture of Mars Volta from like this Brooklyn Museum. Had an exhibition, an exhibit, something like a few years back, but something having to do with music and album covers and things like that. Maybe album covers are important to you or something. Yeah, because I remember going and taking a photo of like a Mars Volta, whatever was on display. Nutcracker, Cracking Jokes, I think of. Marquee Moon Television, an unpunk punk era manifesto. That should be good to listen to. Never heard that. Key Tracks, Friction, Venus, Tom Curtin, Live at the Old Waldorf, Sonic Youth, Daydream Nation, Underwater Moonlight. That is a nice idea, Underwater Moonlight. Yeah. The Temptations, and you know it. Ain't Too Proud to Beg. So, maybe that means something to you. Strong Again, or Sweet Old World. Zodiac Suite, Mary Lou Williams. I did put that in, I think, the Aquarius video, recent Aquarius video. Zodiac Suite, or maybe it was another one, but yeah. The stars align for these astrological portraits. I like that. Just trying to get to the next page. There we go. Key Tracks, Libra. There we go. Cancer. Aries. Zoning. Catalog choice. Andy Kirk and his Clouds of Joy jukebox hits. Emergency. One Way Out. Blue Light Till Dawn. Your names are just interesting. You know, I can apply to anything or nothing. So maybe I'll read what I was talking about. Oh, completely got ruined. Page 117. Well, actually, like the first actual sentence says, there are many such. This was like, what kind of prediction, or it was like a prediction thing, like what will your 2017 look like? I have like 2 minutes to finish this up. And it was like, turn to this page and read the first sentence, and it was, there are many such, which just sounded so depressing, like just another year, you know. So I went in, it was like the shortest sentence ever, which led me to the longest sentence ever, which is the next one. They did not blast out the blocks for these monuments, but adopted the following scientific method. Instead of using huge iron wedges, which would have split the stone, they cut, this is still one sentence, they cut a small groove the whole length of perhaps 100 feet and inserted in it, close to each other, a great number of dry wooden wedges, which, after poured water into the groove and the wedges swelling and bursting simultaneously with a tremendous force, broke out the huge stone as neatly as a diamond cuts a pane of glass. Modern geographers and geologists have demonstrated that these monoliths were brought from a prodigious, again that same word, distance, and have been at a loss to conjecture how the transport was effected. Old manuscripts saying that it was done by the help of portable rails. These rested upon inflated bags of hide rendered indestructible by the same process that was used for preserving the mummies. These ingenious air cushions prevented the rails from sinking into the deep sand. Trying a line in the sand, maybe? Manetho mentions them and remarks that they were so well prepared that they would endure wear and tear for centuries. So that's page 117. What's on page 11? The ether, or the astral light. It might just be the, magic was considered a divine science which led to a participation in the attributes of divinity itself. It unveils the operations of nature, says Philo-Judaeus de Specialibus Legibus 3:1800, and leads to the contemplation of celestial powers. In later periods, its abuse and degeneration of sorcery made it an object of general abhorrence. We must therefore deal with it only as it was in the remote past, during those ages when every true religion was based on a knowledge of the occult powers of nature. It was not the sacerdotal class in ancient Persia that established magic, as is commonly thought, but the magi who derived their name from it. So like the three magi, maybe. Like magic appeared in the world with the earlier races of men. The ancients knew more concerning certain sciences than our modern savants have yet discovered. Reluctant as many are to confess as much, it has been acknowledged by more than one scientist. The degree of scientific knowledge existing in an early period of society was much greater than the moderns are willing to admit, says Dr. A. Todd Thompson, and it was confined to the temples, carefully veiled from the eyes of the people and exposed only to the priesthood, like the Hierophant. So, which I kind of think of like if that has something to do with work, it's like kind of like, talking to your team first, maybe, or something like that. And yeah, was there anything else? Like, there's actually a ton of things. Like when I'm watching these back, for like the lyrics and stuff, or the songs I would put in, I just get a lot of thoughts, things that just extra little notes, and I try to write them down, and if like they happen to come up with any of the cards, to remind myself, otherwise everything else is really off the cuff, like it's not, as I hope you would think, coming to like a tarot video, that it is, completely, I try to interfere as little as possible unless there's something I think that's interesting to note. But yeah, building different names. I don't know. It was like maybe one other thing is interesting, just to talk more about like cross-referencing, and paying attention to little details, even down to like seconds, but not maybe going crazy with it. But like, it's really interesting if you look in that Odyssey playlist that I made. And people probably think I'm very obsessed with this, but it is odd that like how have it set up for, I'll put the links below, but number 6, Milky Chance, which I kind of like equated to like Milky Way introduction into also like hunters and gatherers and just things like that. With 20, and in the lyrics he says, so is thrown from oblivion, and there's that oblivion in 20, but when he says that, actually aligns exactly with like 20, the second 20. Anyways, that's like when I start to go a little bit way too into like details and things like that. But just thought it was interesting how things do end up somehow, even on the smallest scale, align, and how then, you know, you make those connections and you understand how things sort of cross-reference and to look for those things even. I was going to pull a card from the Lover's Tarot, I forgot. Queen of Pentacles, Two of Swords, the Knight of Cups. So again, another water sign, probably Pisces here, but could be any of the water signs. And any of the fire signs, really, I think more so, well, Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. And again, I think you mentioned Aries in the book, Libra, Aries, I think, too. And it came up for earlier in the reading, so, yeah, but Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, so maybe two people are getting some sort of, again, like a filter or something over your, like if this is how you see yourself, because they're opposite, you know, or if this is how you see yourself, like just sort of a clashing influence, maybe. Two swords, like some sort of, you know, spokes in the ground, like two thoughts, sometimes they're crossing this deck, they're not crossing, so maybe uncrossing the different ideas to see things separately in their own container. I keep wanting to say container, but yeah, seeing things in their purest form, maybe of their, you know, really just dropped half of those. This is the Empress. Seeing things, you know, like uncrossing the ideas, the meshing, you know, as part of the process, like distilling down, transmutation, all that whole process of transforming, you know, something from a raw state, but within that process, having to kind of go back and forth between cross-referencing and also taking things apart and pulling out and extracting the most pure essence of something, to understand it fully, so then you can like merge it back in with something else and create something new. What else fell? And if you want to see these more so, sometimes these cards like really look like people that I know, and like that in itself makes me think of someone or something, so it could be a sign or not, you know. Can't really see him. It's upside down anyways, but so the cards that fell out, I won't go through all of them, but Six of Wands. When I put it down, the two top cards, well, that's weird too. Cards fell off. Those cards were the Knight of Cups, like I had just shown you, the Ace of Wands underneath that, the Lovers underneath that, and right underneath the Lovers where they fell off was the Hierophant. I haven't even shuffled these really yet. Strength on the bottom. It's just weird how things sort of do whatever, you know, like I said, like the cards sort of feel like it just works. It's like working with time. Like maybe if you're just like sort of able to get in sync with some sort of sense or rhythm of time, then maybe things just sort of, maybe depending on progressions and that kind of thing, maybe, you know, kind of like lapping on a track, but yeah, then maybe you can just be sort of in sync with time as well, and things just sync up with you. I don't know, because it's things just sort of like this is this card, the lovers on this card. So anytime, I feel like things happen more than once or twice, especially more than twice, three times, especially that like universe is trying to tell you something. So maybe pay attention. But again, another lover's card. I don't know if they're really meant to come out, but I have like way too much going on right now here. I'll just show you these really quickly. The Ace of Wands. Again, this is more traditional, like the hand just coming out of nowhere, offering something of some sort of fiery energy. This was the Knight of Cups again. Six of Wands, just some sort of midpoint. Think of like nunchucks or fence or lavender. I just think of like don't rain on my parade, that thing, which really honestly, like you can like tell a story with your birth chart and the tarot. Like I usually say when I come out of my fifth house and enter that like sixth house of like everyday work, and I've just had all these ideas like in the fifth house of just creativity. That's where all the planets are for me. It's like, yeah, really exciting energy, and then you get to this Capricorn energy that's like, yeah, but how are you going to make that work? And like just raining on my parade, which is really more so about like the Six of Wands. And usually it's a parade. I don't know if that's important to anyone. The Sun, again, Four of Pentacles, maybe 4 weeks or 4 years, some sort of stability for an event or holding back on something, wanting, needing, having life, between, mine, any words like that were for, but really just like holding on, being comfortable, feeling good. Temperance. Says balance. If you haven't watched this video that I did like last Sunday, I think, it was weird. I was talking about like 2 or 3 cards, and this was one of them, and the word life came up, and the card, I dropped it, fell out of my hand, like whoosh, and like fell into this life magazine book that I had, like straight up, like just, it's very, like you can see it in the video if you want to look, but so I think of life, angel, like giving life, creating life, creating art, create life is art, art, life, performance, arts, in a way, but really it's like weaving together your outside world to create your, like a depiction or picture of your imaginary inside world or something like that, that sometimes is more fanciful than you can explain, other times is really, there are no words to explain, no songs, nothing to explain how mysterious of experiences that you may have had, and I don't know if that applies to you or not, but I think we all have probably some experiences, maybe more so, some more so than others, but experiences that just sort of really are profound or mysterious, and not being able to even fully articulate what they are, or even understand what they are, because you don't have the words to, like, so anyways, this is the Seven of Cups, which can mean a little bit of delusion, and that's what I can, think and feel like, but it can also mean seeing clearly, or someone watching something on a big screen, or Like just looking up, looking at your options, choosing an option. Cups, emotions, choosing what makes you feel what's best for you. Again, the Empress, the cards that all fell out. Seven of Swords, which is like liar, cheater, thief. This came up before, but then I saw something like as turning topic is like the Steelers. I thought maybe that's probably what that was referring to, or not, because it could mean like two things it was referring to. Five of Cups, the Hermit, and the Emperor. It's just this guy is in charge, you know, his domain. He's got it together. He's got it again for foundation, setting things up and moving in maybe somewhere, or some building your home, your life, celebrating, coming together, things coming together, four forces of the universe coming together, like just having that sort of stability that is required for something in order to take off, to lift, to build, to grow. But and he's that person that's in charge. It's about adopting an archetypal mindset, so then you're able to better put yourself into different scenarios and situations, since they all, archetypal mindset, archetypal event, it all kind of correlates. So once you understand those, so adopting some sort of archetypal mindset akin to the Emperor, and perhaps wondering or searching, looking for how to do that, learning how to do that, since we have the Hierophant, which can represent, learning, educational institutions. Maybe going back to school as well is a good idea. If you're wondering whether or not you want to change directions with something, and you're sort of soul searching and trying to figure out what's right for you, what will really make you happy, and lead you to this place in your life, this point that, again, it's like, no, it's not. It's like I think of Olympus, like Mount Olympus, or Titan, or someone like just the Titans, like so maybe that area, or that some of those kinds of myths, or something like that would be inspiring to you to look into more, or would change your mindset about something. Vibes being about change and emotions and changing your perception on something. And Two Swords I think of also as just being like, where two people can like agree on something. That could also very well be like this justice, like agreement, lovers, like a choice and agreement. Can also be seeing something clearly, taking a second look at something. That Seven of Swords. It's not, like I said, so many of these cards are just a lot more literal and little like guideposts or directions to potentially look or take and think about. But really, yeah, so we got the Emperor and the Empress like fell out together. So she's Venus, which came out before. So, yeah, she looks more, I don't know, I think of Chloe, or Fashion Line or something like, just very wispy and your quintessential like Renaissance girl or something. Yeah. But 3, maybe the third house. Again, we got the third house earlier, so maybe the third house is important. It's kind of, again, about short distance trips and communications, and it's ruled by Gemini, which also came out. So about being consistent in your speech and consistent with what two different sides of yourself, the lovers, basically, like maybe you're within a partnership too, like hearing both sides, because oftentimes things are definitely misconstrued, and it's about finding that sort of balance. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So I hope that was helpful. And oh, there was one other thing. And see what happens. Oops. 73 or 72. Third class are the elementals proper, which never evolve into human beings, but occupy, as it were, a specific step of the ladder of being. By comparison with the others, they may properly be called nature spirits or cosmic agents of nature, which, being confined to its own element and never transgressing of others, maybe that's what it is. Transgressing the bounds of others. I don't know what that is. Probably like some sort of raccoon or something. We have these like family of raccoons over here, or like squirrels, or a possum too. This one possum is just like hanging around. Nature spirits are cosmic agents of nature, which, being confined to its own element and never transgressing the bounds of others. So, keeping up, like, overstepping maybe. These are what Tertullian called the princes of the powers of the air. So I think we got nearly every air sign. I think I even mentioned. This class is believed to possess but one of the three attributes of man. They have neither immortal spirits nor tangible bodies, but only astral forms which partake in a distinguishing degree of the element to which they belong, and also the ether. They are a combination of sublimated matter and a rudimentary mind. Some are changes, but still have no separate individuality, acting collectively, so to say. Others of certain elements and species change form under a fixed law, which kabbalists explain. The most solid of their bodies is ordinary, just immaterial enough to escape perception by our physical eyesight, but not so unsubstantial that they can be perfectly recognized by the inner or clairvoyant vision. So I think that proves some things for me. I don't know about you, but yeah, this is a really interesting book if you want to pick it up. I haven't read the whole thing, really. I don't know, I have to get around to it. But this is by Helena P. Blavatsky, Isis Unveiled, Secrets of the Ancient Wisdom Tradition, her first work, and this was Einstein's favorite book, actually, which found out after he passed away. So, yeah, so just a lot of interesting ideas about different philosophical type things. Anyways, so I hope that was interesting for you, and maybe any of the words or anything spoke to you, or just found it interesting, or new topics or things to look into. But there was there's something on I just keep wanting to say, so maybe also stay tuned for what I think I'm going to be doing next, which again is the houses. So yeah, hopefully those will be helpful, or even more, bring some more clarity at different areas of your life too, because for me I tend to mix up things, so it's helpful to think about it more so in a different way like that, from different positions on the table. So anyways, yeah, hope you have a great weekend. Bye.